Chapter 12. Angelica, what's all this about? Javi asked, knowing that she wouldn't have demanded his presence on a whim. Look, was the only word that managed to leave her lips. Returning to see the young girl in a state of distress, or even in a state of death, had a profound effect on Angelica. She was moved to tears. It wasn't the first time she had seen a dead body, but it was as close as she'd ever been. Angelica was convinced that the girl was dead. She just needed Javi to confirm it. What am I looking at? He asked before seeing the tears well up in Angelica's eyes. It was the first time he had seen her cry. He hadn't expected to ever see her cry. She couldn't speak, simply nodding towards the girl on the sofa outside of the toilets. People were filing past on their way to relieve their bladder of the effects of copious amounts of alcohol. Javi knelt down beside the girl, Angelica's reaction making him fear the worst. Within a few seconds of checking her pulse, the worst was confirmed. She was dead. Javi picked his phone out of his pocket to call an ambulance. As he dialed, Angelica took the phone from him. "I've already called one," she explained, knowing instinctively what his first action would be after discovering the girl was dead. There was always a small chance that she could be revived. The odds were more than 1,000,000 to 1, but when it was human life, those odds were good enough. Javi sprang into action. He knew the manager of Carla Clement's, a fat man who was well over 6 foot tall. He was as easy to spot as anyone in the venue. Javi also knew that one of his colleagues from the police station was in the venue. She had smiled and shared a drink with him earlier that evening. Her name was Marta. She was as organised and determined as Javi. She was the perfect person to ask for help. "Angelica, wait here for the ambulance crew. They won't be long. There's nothing on the roads at this time of night. Stand on this chair," he said, sliding a chair over from a nearby table and placing it close to the wall so Angelica could be head and shoulders above the rest of the people in the place and still be able to steady herself with a hand on the wall. "Yes, what are you going to do?" "I have to close this place down. I need to know who is here before they leave," Javi explained. Angelica nodded. She could see a man on a mission. Javi strode over to the manager. He had spoken to the guy as part of murder investigations in the past. His name was Ignacio Ferrer, a seedy man whose entire body seemed to be covered with matted hair. Ignacio was always sweaty, no matter the season or the weather. Javi had always thought this was the sweat of a guilty man. But Ignacio Ferrer had never been convicted of a crime. "Ignacio, problema?" Ignacio Ferrer nodded. Javi leaned in and spoke to him for approximately 30 seconds. Ferrer's eyes widened by the second, taking in the information given to him by the murder detective. As he spoke, Javi looked over Ignacio's shoulder, scanning the place for people leaving or anyone acting suspiciously. He was always on duty. That was the reason his parents barely spoke to him. They wanted a relaxed son. They got one who was on edge all of the time, watching people and assessing their guilt. Mr. and Mrs. Jones, Javi's parents, had guilty consciences about how many of the things they did and didn't do in life. Javi was too much of a reminder of their misdeeds. He spotted Marta as he finished speaking to the manager. He gave final instructions to Ignacio and then made his way to his colleague. In the meantime, Angelica had spotted the ambulance crew, waving her arms furiously to get their attention. They got to work. Angelica stayed on top of the chair, watching Javi and his colleague get to work too.